Very often in working with inventory, we like to group items together for ease of data input. There's two different components that QuickBooks uses. One is called grouping, one is called assemblies. The main difference between these two is when is the item pulled from inventory. Let's start by talking with our groups. I'll go into our items and services, and right on top you'll notice that we have a number of different groups. Let's edit our plans and permits and see what's going on. In our group called Plans and Permits, we actually have 3 individual items. These are all items that currently exist in inventory. I can select the quantity that goes into the group for each item, and they don't need to be the same. It could be 1 plan and 2 building permits, or even 4 plans and 2 building permits. Notice here that in this case it is not printing the individual items. I have a choice in the group. Now, a key to remember with these individual groups is that it's going to track the items with less detail on the invoice, but it's pulled from inventory at the time the invoice was created. In other words, there's no inventory stored in the background for this group. That is the difference between our group and our assembly. Let's go down to our door area and let's talk about an assembly called a finished door. Again, let's edit the item. Here you'll notice that this has become an actual item name. In our item name, we will be able to put our description, our total cost, our sales price, and even the individual cost of goods and income accounts. In this section, though, you notice in the Bill of Materials area that I am again choosing my items. The difference on this screen, however, is that these inventory items will actually come out of the inventory asset account and go into the asset account for the finished doors. We're actually going to transfer inventory at the time we build the assembly. Now on our screen under the inventory area, we are defining the components that go into the inventory. So I have said the finished door is going to sell for $150 and it comes from my doors and trims and my windows. The cost on top is blank because you'll notice that I'm going to derive the cost from the individual items. If I need to check these items, I can easily edit an item and find out all the information in the background. Let's close out of our item, close out of our listing, and now you'll notice we have an area for building the assembly. When I go in to build the assembly, I am now able to go in and pull up our finished door. You'll notice the finished door automatically brings in the individual components. I am now able to go straight down to the bottom and choose how many to build. Now you'll notice that this will track the quantity on hand, the amount that's needed when we actually build this component. The minute I hit build and close, this is then going to actually take that information from inventory, the doors, the windows, pull it out of the individual item categories and place them into a component called finished doors. Now it's important to understand the differences that we're looking at between our groups and our assemblies. Keep in mind that the group allows us to print items on the invoice whether or not we want all of them or just components. The assembly, however, is creating a brand new item, so you will not get any of the parts. Groups don't have any specialty reports because of the fact that it's just the convenience of showing on the invoice, but our assembly, on the other hand, is an item, so we'll have lots of reports on there. You'll also notice that the quantity at hand is adjusted at the time of sales for the group. The quantity on hand is adjusted when the assembly is actually built for our assembly item. I have included this particular chart in our work papers so that you can refer to it to understand the differences between our groups and assemblies. Both of these are extraordinarily useful tools, but it's important to understand the difference between them when choosing whether to create a group or an assembly.